It's Friday, June 26th, and this is Now on HNN.
We absolutely are putting together the safest possible plan in America.
State officials are confident that Hawaii can accept more visitors while avoiding a spike in COVID-19 cases.
I don't think we realize the magnitude that this would be. It would be with PUA.
Still developing right now, identity thieves have stolen more than $15 million in state jobless benefits and probably much more.
How will the pandemic impact Hawaii's real estate market? Experts disagree.
Getting used to their new area, stretching their legs.
We got these stories, plus your first look at a double dose of cuteness, coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon, the time is now 12:01. Thank you for watching This Is Now. I'm your director, Jonathan, alongside Ashley here. We want to start with brand new numbers from the Department of Health.
That's right, health officials are reporting 17 new COVID-19 cases today. We're told 14 of them are on Oahu, 1 patient is on Kauai, and 2 Hawaii residents have been diagnosed out of state. Meanwhile, state officials, including Lieutenant Governor Josh Green, are confident that the state can accept more visitors while avoiding another spike in coronavirus cases.
Let's just start off, you had mentioned that you think that we could have as many as 15,000 visitors per day by mid-September. Should we be concerned about that number, especially with the record number of cases we're seeing on the mainland?
Everything concerns me, but I'm not afraid of it. We absolutely are putting together the safest possible plan in America. Having a test within 3 days of travel will reduce the number of positive travelers by about 70 to 80%. So if we didn't do that, we'd be cooked. So we have to do that. We will also have, of course, temperature screening, secondary medical checks. We'll have the thermal scanners. We'll have an incredible amount of information from people to trace them. So we'll be best in nation, but the whole world's dealing with this, so we're just preparing better than everyone else, hopefully.
So what I'm curious about is not only for visitors, but say I decide to travel to Las Vegas and I need this test to avoid the quarantine. How is that going to work? Can I just walk into maybe a CVS store within 72 hours of flying?
That's right. So it'll be for your return, of course, right? And it'll be, if you're more than 6 days out of state, we'll treat you like, of course, everyone else. The key is that you'll be able to go to certain places that we're negotiating contracts with right now. CVS, I'm in contact with Walgreens, Kaiser has a big footprint all across the country, and other laboratories and testing places. So every day, all day, kind of on this, even as early as 2 and 3 in the morning, calling the East Coast to work out some of these deals. So we want to make it easy for people because we absolutely want to have 100% testing before people come here.
All right, so some concerns, cost. How much will this cost for people to get this test?
I think the range is going to be between about $120 to $160, depending where people get tests. It is not nothing. There's no question about it. But the price to have a negative, a series of negative tests and a traveler group that are all negative is extraordinarily valuable to us. And people will have a safer vacation when they have their time here. That's valuable. People in our hotels that work and at the airports, that'll be a value to them, and of course to our healthcare system. So though the cost may deter some tourists, a lot of people are saying that these are the tourists that we want, people who take it as a responsibility upon themselves to get a negative status before coming.
All right, so say that your prediction comes true. We get 15,000 visitors per day mid-September. Most of them are getting their test. Is it possible that some of them could slip through? How are we going to make sure that they have tested negative for coronavirus?
We're going to check for every single person that they have their negative test in hand. So that has to be done before they leave the airport. Otherwise, they will go into quarantine. We expect that if anybody's test lags, goes beyond the time, they will go into quarantine and they'll get that test result a day or two later, and then they'd be released. So it's not going to be perfect, but we'll do much, much more than anyone else. It turns out that it's not legal, as much as we might like it to be. It's not legal to force people to get a test. That's why quarantine is the best weapon that every state has in their arsenal. Look, this will decrease, because the tests are so accurate, by a gigantic amount, the number of people that are positive traveling to Hawaii. And I know people are saying, why would you open up at all? Well, imagine how many people are now broke, can't afford health care, can't afford to go see their doctor, can't afford the tuition for their kids. We have as many as 45,000 people that are housing unstable, rent unstable come August. So we don't want homelessness to surge. There's just so many considerations. So my responsibility is to give us the safest possible way to open the economy, and we'll keep adjusting to make it safer if we have to.
All right, to a still developing story, scammers are hammering the state's unemployment system, already netting more than $15 million. Lynn Kwano broke the story online yesterday. And what you're saying to me is this could just be the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah, this could just be the beginning. So 15.8 million is what they already know they paid out in fraudulent claims, meaning they've got to try to get that money back now. So the thing with PUA, it's the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. It's a federally funded program. It just started because of COVID-19. It's for independent contractors and gig workers, so more like photographers, makeup artists, people in the movie industry. A lot of these people lost their jobs because of the shutdown. So PUA is how they're getting their unemployment benefits. It is a federally funded program, but it is distributed by the State Department of Labor, and taxation also assists with that. So the state has to now go back and try to get that money back, the 15.8 million. How they're doing that is sometimes it's direct deposit to a bank. If that money's still there, they can pull that money back. But it's not always the case. In many cases, it's already spent by the scammers. So they'll have to go after them with the United States, so the Federal Department of Labor, as well as the State Attorney General's office. So PUA, that's 15.8 million that they've already paid out in fraudulent claims, but there's 76.6 million that they believe are possibly fraudulent claims that they were able to stop ahead of the payout. So they're going back and they're reviewing all of these before they go ahead and pay any more money. Because of that, though, a lot of these people are waiting for their unemployment checks. And at first they were rolling out really quickly. PUA was coming out faster than unemployment insurance, but it stopped. And it stopped because they're now reviewing every single PUA claim.
I was in the newsroom yesterday when you yelled across the newsroom and say, I got something, I have this story, and you wanted us to push it out and break it. And really my reaction was like, WTH. Like, do you have any idea how these scammers are doing it, or what are investigators thinking?
So it's a lot of it is just identity theft. And the reason is PUA has a lot less restrictions than unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance has a lot of verifications that you have to go through. That's why it takes so long. That's why we're getting so many complaints from people. It's taking a long time for regular unemployment. But when it comes to PUA, they were trying to get the money out fast. And there's less restrictions. So really, it was kind of a bad case scenario, worst case scenario, best case scenario for scammers, because they could quickly go in, steal someone's identity, claim that they are filing for unemployment and need unemployment help, and they were getting paid very quickly. We know several people who are victims of this, who are still employed, but yet they got this letter from PUA saying, you need to verify, did you file for unemployment through PUA? And these people are saying, no, we never did. So that's the people they seem to be targeting. It's identity theft is what they're really going after here. And they've been quite successful, $15.8 million.
In the meantime, the really sad part about all this, there's still a huge backlog of people waiting for money that need it and deserve it.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to unemployment insurance. We still have tens of thousands of people waiting and in process, and it's just the frustration is mounting. Many haven't paid their rent in many, many months. With PUA, it's a little different because that money went out so quickly. People were able to pay some of their bills, but the frustration with PUA is then they suddenly stopped. So I've spoken to plenty of people who say they got their PUA, it was fantastic, how easy it was, but then all of a sudden the payments just stopped because of the verification. So now PUA is going back and reviewing a lot of these claims. In the meantime, their paychecks have stopped. So it is very frustrating.
All right, Lynn Kwano, keep up the great reporting. We're going to toss it back over to Ashley.
The U.S. hit another daily record of coronavirus cases with nearly 40,000 new cases reported. California, Florida, and Texas all have had major spikes. Danya Bacchus has the latest.
Florida's coronavirus numbers are spiking. Today, the state reported nearly 9,000 new cases, a record amount. The previous high of 5,500 came just 2 days ago.
Most of these people are asymptomatic. Most of them, if they do have symptoms, will be so mild that they would not even need to seek medical attention.
Texas is seeing a similar surge in infections. A day after saying the state's reopening would pause, Governor Greg Abbott ordered bars closed and imposed new restrictions on restaurants.
It's pretty clear that these measures by themselves won't be adequate.
In Houston and elsewhere, hospitals are nearly full. The Texas Medical Center says its ICU beds already are.
Anything in between, staying home, or what's currently happening, is a gamble and an experiment on our own people.
Texas and Florida were among the first states to relax their social distancing and stay-at-home rules. California moved more slowly, yet its COVID-19 totals are also rising.
We are still in the first wave of this pandemic.
Governor Newsom says some counties in California may have to go back into lockdown if the virus continues to spread. Officials in other states are sounding the alarm.
If we're not careful, Mississippi's going to look like New York at the height of the pandemic.
New Jersey's case totals are down sharply from their mid-April peak, but Governor Phil Murphy says no one is celebrating.
We have come a long way in New Jersey, but we've had to go through hell to get here, and we will do everything we can to stay in a good place.
The CDC says the actual number of coronavirus cases is probably 10 times higher than the number who've tested positive. That would mean roughly 25 million Americans have been infected. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
There were questions about Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and his family after photos of them surfaced on Kauai. But state lawmakers say the family did complete the mandatory 14-day quarantine.
Actually, he's been on Kauai for quite some time, and I was getting reports from the people who were delivering the food to the residents as far as all of the local products that he was purchasing, he and his wife and his family, and they were very clear to maintain the 14-day quarantine before they left the residents to move about the island.
It's still unclear when Zuckerberg and his family arrived on the Garden Isle. The Facebook founder owns a 700-acre estate on the island's north shore. Senate President and Kauai Senator Ron Kochi also thanked Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan for their $1 million donation to the Hawaii Community Foundation.
Airline unions want Washington to buy more job protection. Here's Howard Dykes with your 1-minute economy.
The unions want an extension of aid to airlines tied, as before, to no major involuntary layoffs. If this doesn't happen, the airlines can start doing layoffs in October. Bain Capital will buy Virgin Australia. It says it will save as many of that airline's jobs as it can. American Airlines says next month it'll stop blocking off middle seats. Microsoft this morning says it's closing 72 stores because of COVID, and most will never reopen. Mediation ordered in the busted sale of Taubman Centers to Simon Property. Simon owns Waikele Premium Outlets. Taubman owns International Marketplace. Simon canceled what was to be next week's buy. Bank stocks sink. The Fed, concerned about COVID cash cushions, caps dividends and bars buybacks. And Chuck E. Cheese goes Chapter 11 after 43 years. The co-founder of Atari founded the restaurant chain in 1977. Consumer spending in May rose 8%, a welcome improvement, although less than expected.
The state's real estate market, well, it's reeling right now. But the future of the market, it's really up for debate. Here's Lacey Denise with the details.
Real estate experts are weighing in on how the pandemic will impact Hawaii's housing market. Real estate consultant Ricky Cassidy is predicting there will be a steep drop in home prices. He says some studios in Waikiki have already seen significant declines due to the tourism shutdown and tougher new regulations and enforcement on illegal vacation rentals.
I think sales easily will be down by half. I think that prices will go down 15 to 25%. We see our major industry going to hell in a handbasket. We see our major industry falling off the cliff.
Other factors expected to hurt the market. Hawaii's 22% unemployment rate will mean fewer buyers, and thousands of Hawaii residents expected to relocate to the mainland to look for work. On the other hand, others are forecasting prices will go up.
Hawaii is one of the 9 states where we're actually forecasting prices will be up. Not much, but a little bit, up by about a percentage point.
The chief economist of CoreLogic, a major real estate data company, thinks record low mortgage rates will buoy the weak market, making homes more affordable for first-time home buyers. He also thinks foreign investment could rebound, boosting the high-end market. But the market will still be sluggish due to the large number of job losses.
All right, thank you, Lacey, for that report. We'll have to see how that all shapes up and changes. All those people have been priced out of paradise for so long. If those prices really do drop. All right, we want to switch gears here just a bit. Take you outside where it's 85 degrees. The time is now 12:15. Hey, Guy Hoggy, what's up with our weekend?
How's it on this Friday? We've got really good weather locally. No reports of any cyclones and no possible cyclones in the Central Pacific. However, in the East Pacific, we are tracking Tropical Depression Boris, soon to come into our neighborhood in the Central Pacific. But the good thing is it's falling apart rather quickly. And all computer models are saying the moisture, whatever's left, and there's not going to be much left, is going to pass well to our south. So this system will not impact our weather in any way, shape, or form. We're talking about impacts on winds or rain. It's not going to do anything of the sort. And we're in for a fairly dry day today. But with the trade winds continuing at steady speeds, some of these clouds upstream will move into those windward sides, and we could wring out a little bit of rain out of that. But overall, we're not expecting much in the way of rainfall anytime soon. Trade winds will run at nice steady levels today and tomorrow before easing up the early part of next week. So savor those trade winds today. It's going to be a typical trade wind weather day with lots of sunshine. And if we get some showers, they'll happen in the overnight and early morning hours through tomorrow. And look at that, temperatures running to near 90 for a handful of spots. Now, as far as the surf, it's one of those rare days in the summertime when we have a North Shore swell. It's not a big one, but we got fun waves for North and West Shores. And the South Shore will be picking up later with a little peak coming tomorrow. And another bigger swell is due into the South Shore Sunday into Monday. That swell is going to be bigger, and it could really, could even approach advisory levels. So we've got nice steady trade winds through tomorrow, and then light trade winds take over for the next several days after that with higher than normal humidity levels. But all in all, we're in for a long stretch of the best weather on the planet. We'll have more details on air and online.
TGIF, folks, time for some good news now.
A wandering wallaby is now back in the wild. Wildlife officials say they released the marsupial yesterday into a state forest on Oahu. The brush-tailed rock wallaby was captured at a Nu'uanu home earlier this week. Wallabies were brought to Oahu in 1916, and when a pair escaped from a private zoo, they started multiplying. They are not considered invasive, and they are protected by state law.
I want to see one so bad.
They're really cute.
We mentioned it earlier, but you're one of the lucky ones who got to see one a few years back when it was spotted. All right, guys, time for an H&N exclusive here.
That's
Big
right.
Stuff.
We took a field trip yesterday to the Honolulu Zoo and got a first look at the newest additions. Let's take a look. Neelix and Sandy are the Honolulu Zoo's new reticulated giraffes. And after spending 30 days in quarantine, zoo officials are now trying to get them acclimated to their new home.
Neelix is 1 year and 5 months, and Sandy is 11 months old. They've been exploring a little bit, getting used to their new area, stretching their legs.
Neelix, a male, and Sandy, a female, are not brother and sister, but are related. The duo was introduced to their exhibit on Thursday, and animal enthusiasts of all ages rushed over to check them out. Even the cheetah next door had to take a look.
It looks like they're getting along pretty well. I think that one's eating.
They are roughly around 10 feet. She's a little shorter. Females only grow to be about 15 feet or so. And the boys will be about 19 or so feet. So they got a lot of growing to do there.
Zookeepers say they've been feeding the giraffes hibiscus and monkey pod branches. Their long tongues allow them to strip the leaves away from thorns. Getting the pair to Honolulu was a tall order. After a 2-day road trip from Albuquerque, New Mexico to Los Angeles, the animals were then flown to Oahu in a cargo airplane and even had a police escort to the zoo.
They did really good on the plane. Nice and quiet. Sandy actually was lying down in the crate during the ride, and that's very interesting because they don't really lie down unless they feel comfortable.
The young giraffes are slowly being introduced to the zoo's 20-year-old resident giraffe, Squirt. Right now they're in separate pens. Neelix and Sandy seem very intrigued by their elder, while Squirt could care less about his new roommates.
He's been perfect. He really just ignores them. So that's exactly what you want. Hopefully he'll show Neelix especially who the boss is.
Reticulated giraffes are considered endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and through the Species Survival Plan program, the zoo hopes to bring in another female to mate with Neelix.
They're the first large mammals that we brought in since we were accredited, and so hopefully we'll be bringing in some other animals shortly.
And remember those baby ring-tailed lemurs, Frank and Mel? Well, they're also growing up fast. The twins born on Easter Sunday once cling to their mother like an opihi. Now they're becoming curious, playful, and brave, and they're just so cute, we had to put them in this story.
Yeah, we did. They're
I love
so
that.
adorable. And we have a little H&N exclusive about that. We can announce their names, right?
Yep.
Go ahead, tell
So
everyone.
it's Frank the lemur and
Oh,
Mel, named after a late comedian Mel Kabang.
Frank, if you're listening, a song has to be in the works, please. And that was your little draft bill because you were supposed to actually get to see some in the wild.
Right. So if you're like me and your plans to Kenya were canceled this year because of the coronavirus, just go to the zoo and get your fix there.
Yeah, they're adorable. It's well worth it. All right, guys, let's check out what the internet is talking about right now. Start with a local story. This is on the web. It's sort of sad, guys. You know, the home of the Brave Museum shut down in December, and they're having to auction off some of the stuff. It's on display right now on oahuauctions.com. A bunch of items up for our auction. You know, it ranges from equipment, buttons, some weapons, gadgets, helmets, things like that. You know, that goes until 6 p.m. I think tonight is
It's a lot
what
of cool
I'm told.
stuff.
Yeah, it is. It was a cool place too. So sad to see him go. A lot of the World War II stuff, the significant stuff, is actually going to Colorado to be put on display there as well.
Right, and check this out. BMW drivers may soon never have to worry about losing their keys again. The automaker announced it will support a digital key for iPhones that will provide a secure way to lock, unlock, and drive your vehicle. Now, BMW was the first car company to link iPods to their vehicles and the first to offer wireless CarPlay. Owners will be able to set up their digital keys with their BMW smartphone app, and they can also share access to the vehicles with 5 friends. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that need a digital key for everything.
Right.
Like, I would rather not walk around with those
But what
keys.
if you lose your phone?
Which happens from time to time with
yeah.
me, right? Right? All right, Dixie Chicks, another group changing their name.
Yep, we've heard of many different companies and brands making big changes to support the Black Lives Matter movement. Now the Dixie Chicks are changing their name. The band is dropping the word Dixie, a reference to the pre-Civil War South, and the group will now be called the Chicks. The country pop trio made their announcement on their website yesterday and updated all their social media channels. We told you earlier the country band Lady Antebellum also changed their name to Lady A, dropping the word antebellum, which is associated with slavery.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching our debut week here on KHNL.
Yes.
Digital audience, we're still in the same place. We want to leave you with a little nice Aloha Friday vibes. Here's a little bit of our virtually live concert series that we teamed up with Blue Note. Let's play it out for you. This airs tomorrow at 6 p.m., by the way, on our digital platforms.
Wind is in your hair, lilacs lure the lovers, spring is in the air, feelings well within us, like the sun will rise, all that life can give us when we realize love will find a way. Love will find a way. Darkness calls, you're still here. I've been through some rough times, now I'm seeing clearly. It's wonderful for my eyes to see. You're right here, right now, sitting next to me, and our love will find a way. 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 Don't be here and now. There's something enchanting, yeah, something oh so sweet. Love is the answer now. There's no mystery. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, we are here tonight.